This is the Citroen DS23. Back in May of 2021, this thing was released into Forza Horizon 4 and I nicknamed it the DS Appointment, mostly because it was awful. But now we can get it from this exclusive event. I'm going to dive into this thing again and find out if it's actually gotten better. So for the stats of this thing, it's got 113 brake horsepower, 134 foot-pounds of torque and weighs a whopping 2,954 pounds with a 2.35 litre engine. Also, the weather's rainy because apparently it's trying to make the Brit feel at home. Anyway, looking at this thing, it's certainly an interesting looking vehicle. It has also been nicknamed the Flying Saucer, I think by Citroen themselves. And honestly, I don't really know what to say aside from the fact that it is, a very old car. But for its year, it kind of looks relatively okay. Going to the inside, we've got no touchscreens because of course this thing was made from the 70s. But we do have a lot of dials, gauges, and also a tiny little radio to the right hand side. And now let's go ahead and take a listen to that engine. So here we are now over at the upgrade shop. The first thing I'm doing is jumping straight to conversion and engine swaps because I've been told that we've got something very interesting. Firstly, we of course have the 1.6 litre inline 4 turbo rally, which is honestly not the greatest engine. And we also have the racing 3 litre inline 6 turbo, also known as the 2JZ. Oh boy. Going to drivetrains, this thing starts out stock front wheel drive. It is also capable of being rear wheel drive and also all wheel drive, which will certainly come in useful later. And because apparently we can for some reason, we can go ahead and also supercharge the stock engine. No turbos in sight for this one. However, I don't need to put the tune together myself this time because our resident tuner is back once more with a B-Class tune this time around. And indeed, when it loads, hopefully it'll load quickly, there is the share code to go ahead and grab the B-Class racing tune, which is what I'm going to go ahead and do right now. So with that tune, we're now at 2,498 pounds with a whopping 241 brake horsepower in B-Class of 48,450 credits. Honestly, I've not driven this car in a while and I really hope it's better than it was. So going over to the paint shop, we of course have ourselves some advanced paint groups this time around. Paint group number 1 being the main body of the car, and if I remember rightly, paint group number 2 should be the roof. Yep, it is. This thing kind of looks like an angry bumblebee now. But going to the manufacturer colours, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different colours to choose from. And apparently the recommendation from Mac the tuner was to go with this. So again, that's what I'm going to do. You'd have thunk this game being 3 years old, they'd have fixed the saving times, but nope, it still takes an age. Now, I'm not quite too sure what the price is of this thing would have been brand new, but as of right now, if you want to go ahead and pick up one of these for yourself, you're A, going to be very lucky to find one, and B, better have a lot saved up because these things can go from anywhere from, I've seen wrecks on the eBay go from 1k all the way up to brand new variants like this, or at least, restored variants or just factory style ones that just haven't been modified, go anywhere up from £29,000, and it just keeps going. Now, I'm not sure what that is in USD, but hopefully I'll have the comparison up on screen if I remember to edit it in. And away we go with, well, quite a decent amount of horsepower. We've got, I don't think there's even any aero on this thing, which makes our life a little easier and also a little bit difficult at the same time. We're up against a whole host of other various different vehicles, and we've got to try and go ahead rather, and get this thing to first place. My words are not working with me today. However, this thing is French, so I've got a feeling it might go on strike halfway through, but wait, is that nice set an appeal? Did I just see it? I did see appeal. Okay, I've got to try and catch the appeal, otherwise this is going to be a very, very poor show. And past the appeal we go, first place is ours. Now, an interesting thing about this is the Citroen DS3 had a 20-year production line between 1955 and 1975, which is what this car is modelled after, and there was a whopping 1.4 million of these produced, and out of that, there's estimates that only 1,400 have survived and are still on the roads worldwide. But I don't think I've ever seen one of these in person, so, that number could be even lower. And I doubt it'll happen, but if you happen to own one of these things in real life, go ahead and let me know in the comments. Honestly, the closest I have is like a little one made from Matchbox. And even then I don't know where that went. And so 64% through the race, we are still out in front, but everybody else is starting to catch up, so we've got to really put our foot down here. So, come on Citroen, please do something good, don't go on strike. I wonder how many French people are going to be annoyed at me for that now. Now this thing has returned from Forza Horizon 4, which also brings with it the question of what other cars from Forza Horizon 4 would you love to see return in Forza Horizon 5? Now, I'm not talking about new cars here, I'm talking about cars from the previous game, so anything from the last car list into this game, but you could only pick one. Let me know in the comments. And with that, across the line we go with a little bit of style, a little bit of sideways, and a slight water splash. And first place with a time of 3 minutes 8. Not bad. And now here we are going back to the tunes once again, and while they load, another fun fact about this, oh never mind, they've loaded already, you'll get a fun fact in a minute, stand by. So here's the second tune we're using today, which has also been made for us, the DS apparently standing for drag subscribe, so you know, drag that mouse to the subscribe button. That was a terrible segue. But here is the share code coming up on screen now, there we go, feel free to go ahead and download that, and that is going to be our drag build, and apparently this time it's a rear wheel drive, as opposed to the all wheel drive builds that we usually do. I think that's the most weirdest way I've ever said builds in my life. And so here's where the craziness starts. We're at 2,404 pounds, and this thing has 1,270 brake horsepower, nearly just sort of a quarter ways through S1, and it's 91,300 credits. Oh dear. Also correction, that's 2,484 pounds, not 404. That was close though. While this is saving, here's the little fun fact that I promised. Back in 1999, this car was voted third best car of the century behind the Model T Ford and the Mini Cooper. And also, the Classic and Sports Car magazine voted the Citroen DS the most beautiful car of all time in 2009. Now, I'm not quite sure I'd agree with that, you know, because the 2004 Subaru Impreza exists, but, you know, each to their own. Anyway, we're now over the back of the Horizon Festival, so let's go ahead and get a little bit of a wheelie check. And we do actually kind of get something with it, kind of sends this car a little bit off track, so let's get to the drag strip while this thing still drives. Okay, on launch control, and away we go. Kind of feather the throttle a little bit, and there we go. Got some grip in second gear, and let's go ahead and see what this thing can do with the 2JZ, which I honestly didn't expect to be able to put in. This thing's absolutely nuts. Going through the camera at 191, which is not too bad, but kind of okay at the same time, and off the edge of the drag strip at 214, and no brakes. All power, no brakes. I should make that a t-shirt. And now we finally get to go ahead and tune this thing, so we're going to jump in and go and throw in the good old 2J. We're going to make this thing all-wheel drive like I promised earlier, and we're going to make this thing into a little bit of a top speed build, although to be fair, it does look, well, I don't know, it doesn't exactly look aerodynamic, but it looks aerodynamic at the same time, and now my brain is very confused, although to be fair, it's really not that hard. And because we can, we're putting some good brakes on this thing, because my oh my, is it going to need it? The answer to that is yes, yes, of course it's going to need it. So with a lot of upgrading, we're now sat at 2,580 pounds with 1,270 brake horsepower, and we're just in the top of S2. And joy of joys, now of course I get a chance to tune this thing, which means I've also got to go through and sort the gears out. I'll be back in a bit. Well, I was going to do a Forzathon shop segment, but it's been sat on this for a couple of minutes and I don't know if it'll load. So here's this week's Forzathon shop, now it's finally loaded. We've got the Jaguar Lightweight E-Type, the France Race Gloves, the Wheelspin Win car horn, which sounds a bit like this. Brilliant. I do love a good win. We've also got the Ferrari F50 GT, a sundress over here, the Horizon Super Wheelspin, and the regular Horizon Wheelspin as well. And now, out to the motorway. Alrighty, here we are now over at the edge of the motorway with the Stellantis-owned Flying Saucer, because fun fact, Stellantis Group apparently now owns Citroen as well as everything else on the planet. Let's go ahead and get ourselves on launch control, and away we go. Let's go ahead and find out what we get for this thing in terms of top speed. It is relatively light and stupidly powerful, so hopefully we should get a good result out of this thing, or at least that's what I'm hoping for. To be fair, anything can be better than its performance in Horizon 4. And out of the speed zone at 245.61, and we are accelerating rapidly. This thing's just hit 250, which is honestly absolutely nuts considering, well, look at it. We've also got the downhill and speed camera still to go, so let's get going. Again, we're kind of already going very, very quickly. I don't know why I said that. And any second, through the camera at 255, going downhill 257, 258, 259, 260, 261, 262. This thing is going faster than every single vehicle auction I've ever seen on TV. And honestly, this thing is absolutely stupid when it comes to top speed. 262 out of something from 1975. What? I don't have words for this. And as one test left to do, which is drifting, we're going to go ahead, throw this thing in here, try and get it sideways. That is very, very sideways. Maybe a bit too much sideways, but out the other side at 37,000 and something points. I completely missed that last bit. Oops. I promise I'm professional, honest. And now we head back the other way, going back in for round 2. Let's go ahead and see what we get out of this thing. We are very, very nicely sideways, 37,000 to beat, and we go out the other side at 39,605 points, which is genuinely actually surprisingly good for this thing. I think the addition of the 2J was genuinely what this thing needed. In the meantime, that is the Citroen DS23. Has it improved since Forza Horizon 4? The answer to that is honestly a resounding yes. although to be fair, the bar was so low in Horizon 4 it was practically in the ground. But honestly, this thing is genuinely a lot of fun to drive. It is of course a seasonal championship exclusive, which means you have until Thursday when the season changes to go ahead and grab one of these for yourself. And honestly, I'd actually recommend it now, the car's finally good again. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. I'll go ahead and see you all in the next one. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that cool stuff. And yeah, thanks for watching. Sec out. See ya. Apparently a Citroen's founder's name translates to lemon. Didn't know that?